Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Shabana.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum salam. Please communicate. Please share that YouTube link. Do you have that?
Sir, I'm just checking it.
Okay, please. If anyone will leave the class right now, you will not be able to join again. You can visit on the YouTube. Okay. If anyone will leave the class, you will be able to join on YouTube only. So please, notice that your attendance is being, marked, and we are actually regularly monitoring your attendance. And if you are doing left and join again and again, these students will be taken care of, very differently. So please be on a discipline. If you have joined, it's not a fun, it's not a picnic spot. If you don't want, you please leave right now. If you don't want, you are not interested, don't for the namesake coming here. Don't come here for the namesake. You just leave. There are many people who are actually desirous to join, to listen directly. So if you have joined and you are interested, then please make sure that you will be attended as maximum as possible, because it may happen sometime, but not always. So we can accommodate only 100 students over here, and thereafter you can join on YouTube. And please don't do in and out again, any time. You please fix yourself to be on your seat. Okay. So in normal days we occupy if seats, then we are not leaving. So please, the way we will behave, the external will take the understanding that this type of business school it is. So please be cautious. Okay, I hope that you people are mature enough to give a very good representation. Good, Arman. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Please share on the coordinator group. Please share with the BBA student. Please share what the Arman is sharing. Okay, please share among all the students. They may not miss to to appear. So please share these information. It is crucial. It is necessary. Good. So I hope things are there, and very soon when we are the way we are able to provide the opportunity to all the students of Jamia Hamdard, inshallah very soon we will able to provide the opportunities to the rest of the management school as well. For that we are preparing many of the online teams, and these online teams will make these webinars present these visible to across the management schools. So inshallah very soon we will be leading the good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. So, sir, welcome. Myself, Mohammad Jamshed. I am assistant professor and the placement coordinator over here. And thanks a lot for coming. And our students will initiate the things, and then they will provide you the opportunity to speak with the students. So please wait for a while. They will start. Shabana, can you take the initiative? The time is crucial. Please start.
Yes, sir. I'm sharing a screen. Sir, can I start?
Yes, sir. Before you start, Shabana, we are just giving an introduction of today's speaker, and Shabana will introduce the speaker. Go ahead, Shabana.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. I am Shabana Khatoon with my team members Saurabh Singh, Nilofar Parveen, Abdul Hannan, Mehek, and Asba. We warmly welcome each one of you in today's webinar on the behalf of Management Department. I would like to thank our Professor Dr. Jamshed Sir for guiding us at every step to conduct this webinar. I consider it a great honor to welcome our today's speaker, Mr. Himanshu Shekhar, sir. He works as an editor in NDTV India. He was part of Prime Minister's official entourage to the UN Annual Summit in New York and also Indo-Turkish Summit in Ankara and Istanbul. He has covered Prime Minister's office visit to Pakistan and Afghanistan as a TV news journalist. He also reported and researched on issues related with climate, disasters like food, legal right of disaster victims, and sustainable development goals. He has published number of research papers with titled Disaster Law, Emerging Thresholds. His second research
क्या
paper titled
क्या हुआ क्या
and
बोल रही थी
I request to all candidates kindly mute yourself.
यही बदतमीजी करते रहते हैं
His his second research paper titled Urban Flooding and Threats to Sustainable Development. Another title is Disaster Risk Management in Agriculture. And recently, his two research papers titled Sustainable Development Goals and Disasters Risk Reduction and COVID-19 reverse migration of labor and the longer road to sustainable development goals have been published. Apart from that, he holds an MPhil degree from School of International Studies, JNU. He did his post-graduation in political science from Center for Political Studies and graduation in English Literature Honors from Delhi University. So, I request our today's speaker to enlighten this webinar. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, am I audible now, Shabana?
So very
Yes,
much.
sir, you are audible.
Yeah, okay. It's a great privilege to get this opportunity. Thank you, Hanan, for this opportunity. I was indeed surprised that through a LinkedIn interaction, we could schedule an interaction like this. That's the beauty of the communication technologies, one of the subjects that we will be discussing. And as you know, we are still in the middle of the COVID-19 crisis. And if there is one sector that has emerged as a very crucial, key, critical sector during this crisis, and that is the world of communication. Now, during COVID-19 crisis, we know that for us, the fact that while we kept ourselves indoors, we could still interact and communicate with the world with the help of communication technologies. Now, as a journalist who works in a television news channel, mobile journalism became the most critical platform for us to do journalism and reporting, even from within containment zones. Because mobile phones, as you know, gives you the opportunity to do live broadcasts from wherever and whenever you want to do that. So even in the most restrictive environment, with a small hand mobile phone, we could actually broadcast seamlessly news related with COVID-19. And during lockdown, when the production of, I would say, popular culture platforms stopped, like television serials and films, there has been an unprecedented increase in the viewership of television news channels. So I think media as an industry became a very, very critical industry during this period of COVID-19 crisis. And that's where I think I'll focus my presentation today. Now, as young students of management, of course, I think just like for all of us, this COVID-19 crisis is also at the same time, while it has posed challenges for us at several fronts, but this also gives us an opportunity to prepare ourselves for all such challenges that pandemic can pose in our lives in future. Now, we know that this is also the time of unprecedented economic crisis. I remember when the first quarter results of the present financial year were declared, the contraction of the economy by minus 23.9% shocked us, in the sense that such a big fall in the economy had not happened after independence. Minus 23.9%, of course, as those of you who understand economy will know that it's such a big, huge fall. Now, contraction of the economy actually shrunk the space that business houses had, the business managers had to do business. I've been focusing on this, and I'll be sharing firstly my experience of how business enterprises, factories, business organizations have actually tried to meet this challenge, the job losses that have happened across sectors, and the broader restructuring of the job opportunities that is likely to happen in the post-COVID-19 world is also something that I will briefly discuss. Now, one of the first factories that I visited, I would say a company that I visited at the start of the lockdown, was a small factory in Ghaziabad industrial area. It is largely called Bulandshahr Road industrial area. It's on the outskirts of Ghaziabad city. And I went there. They're in the business of producing systems and high-tech equipments which are used in metro services and even in security installations. When I first entered the factory, main center of that factory, there were hardly 15, 16 workers who were working on the assembly line. They have a very high-tech assembly line. And I was told that with a lot of effort, they have been able to restart 15 to 20% of their business compared to the pre-COVID-19 level. This was somewhere in April, May. I would say May. When the lockdown first, the government started the process of lifting the lockdown. Now, 2 months later, the business operation had gone to 40%. Again, 2 months later, the scope, the scale of the operation had gone to 70%. Through these three ground reports in one factory, I could see that COVID-19 actually has perhaps changed the way organizations do business forever. Now, the disruptions in the supply chain that has happened, which continues to hamper even the operations even today, has actually forced the business managers, factory owners, industrialists to actually restructure the way they do business. I'm sure this is once in a 100-year pandemic. Last pandemic, I'm writing 2 chapters in a new book on COVID-19. When I was researching on Spanish flu of 1918, I realized that in the last 102 years, India did not learn the lessons that 1918 Spanish flu had posed for us, in which 1.7 crore Indians are feared to have died. And even Gandhiji at one time had contracted Spanish flu in 1918. But the lessons of 1918 Spanish flu was not learned, and that is why we paid a heavy price in the form of a lockdown. Our hospitals did not have that kind of infrastructure. We did not have the health coverall industry was very, very small. More than 99% of coveralls were being imported from abroad. So this has been a very difficult learning curve. And through this phase of directly interacting with business managers across sectors, I can tell you that this has actually transformed the way organizations do business. They never factored in, nobody did. Industry, business managers, business enterprises also were not prepared to face such an eventuality of retaining manpower in such a difficult situation, the importance of saving, how supply chains can be reconstructed in a very short period of time. Nobody had thought about it. And the existing business philosophy, if I may say so, actually has been challenged by COVID-19. And you all are very young. You will be joining the business world in the post-COVID-19 world, where lots of priorities, imperatives in the business environment is all set to change. I request all of you to read the essays and statements made by World Bank President. Several times he has said this, and I remember there is one report that I reported extensively on, where the World Bank President said that during this COVID-19 crisis, a large number of jobs would be lost, but at the same time, a large number of new jobs will be created. Now that, I think, is one point on which all of you should focus and read, that how this COVID-19 crisis will not only restructure the way organizations do business, it will not only force the companies to reorient their supply chain management systems, but it will also change the job market at the larger level, in the sense that there are sectors which are going to have faced the brunt, and they will never be the same in the post-COVID-19 world. And lots of new jobs are being created. Now, that is one central point. Just to give you two very small examples. In the factory where I was shooting the ground reports, just in front of it was a school bag factory. So I walked out of one factory where 70% of the business operation had been revived. But just 10 meters in front of that factory was a school bag factory which remained closed. So I asked the workers there, they said that, sir, schools are closed in India. So when the schools are closed, why would we make school bags? And how can we sell it in this environment? So we could only see that, this larger, the challenges that some sectors continues to face, especially hospitality, tourism, education sector, large number of sectors. As all of you are students, you know how this COVID-19 crisis has impacted on educational institutions as well, especially schools in every part of India. Now, this brings me to the main subject, which is the job opportunities for graduates in media houses. Of course, media houses are business entities, as any business entity that you can think of. Now, they have all departments that are normally there in any business organization. And all of you who have interest in issues related with media, interest related with communication technologies, because as you know, television news channels actually use a large component of communication technologies to broadcast their services. We use all kinds of technologies to in our studios, all kinds of things, for example, live broadcasts from the field. So there are multiple opportunities that exist for young graduates across the board in sales, marketing. There are special projects planning teams that are there. Then in the space of communication technology management, lots of opportunities would come up once the post-COVID-19 world order becomes more and more clear. At the moment, it is a little hazy in the sense that the world is perhaps the worst is over for India. I was just looking at the numbers. In Delhi, for example, the number of cases in last 24 hours is 758, which I think is a huge fall, a huge relief for Delhiites. Even at the national level, India has reported around 22,000 new COVID cases in last 24 hours, which is almost 1/4, I would say, of the peak, even less than 1/4 of the peak. So gradually the post-COVID-19 world is coming closer and closer, and that essentially means that world will open up gradually. We see oil prices at international market going up in anticipation that once the vaccine is disseminated and the number of COVID cases decline gradually in different parts of the world, the more and more international travel will be opened, and in anticipation we see oil industry and oil prices already going up. So that's a good sign for all of us. That would mean a revival of business. That would mean revival of growth. That would mean revival of new opportunities for all of you. And I remember former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, who was also a great economist, once told us during an interaction that what many Indians do not understand is that a 1% change in the GDP in a year means if an economy grows by 1%, if there is a growth rate increase of 1%, that means that in last 12 months, at least 1 crore new job opportunities have been created. If an economy declines or falls by 1%, the GDP growth rate declines by 1%, that essentially means that in that financial year, the number of new job opportunities declined by 1 crore. And that was Manmohan Singh, that's some at least 10 years back. And that would give you an insight that how this fall needs to be seen in that context, in the sense that minus 23.9% was a contraction in the first quarter, with slight improvement later. But still, economy is expected to be somewhere around -8, -9% this year. That essentially means you can just relate that in terms of the number of job opportunities that were available for young graduates like you, young students of management. 1 year back in the pre-COVID world, there would be far lesser opportunities in the initial months. But I'm assuming that the world is going to come back very strongly in the post-COVID-19 world. That will essentially mean that in the next financial year, of course, global rating agencies have projected a good growth rate for India. And that essentially means that a lot of business activity will increase. And that essentially means that greater opportunities awaits you in the new financial year. Just hope and pray that the COVID-19 is finally under control, and after 2-3 months that we have vaccine, and that essentially would mean that a large part of the world will open up and greater opportunities for you across all sectors. I won't say media, but across all sectors. But it is very important for all students of management to actually study how COVID-19 has actually impacted both the economy and business enterprises, because as business managers, as leaders, as future leaders of the business world in the coming years, I think it is very important that you all read more and more, research more and more on how COVID-19 pandemic has actually affected business operations, supply chain management systems, how that is actually challenging the economic philosophies of growth. In the book that I'm now writing with 3 other professors is essentially an attempt to show that how COVID-19 has made the world more and more unpredictable, in the sense that we still can't predict the future. It has made it very difficult for us to predict the future of the economy, future of the world, future of business enterprises, in the sense that we are still far from being normal. International travel remains restricted. I would not have ever imagined that international travel would be closed like they have been since March last year. And there was some slight opening up, and then this new variant of the COVID-19 coming up. Again, there is panic in Europe, in America. Vaccine, of course, everybody is hoping next month vaccine will be in place. And that essentially would, I think, assure many of us that worst is behind us and it's time to move on. And that's where I think new management graduates need to focus on. But at the same time, all the business management theories that you have learned or you are going to learn in future, always try to factor in that how the world has been affected by COVID-19 pandemic, because such once in a century events actually forces us not only to rework on our priorities, not only to restructure our lives, but we also have to restructure the way we work. For example, in NDTV office, I have not been inside my office since March this year. So that would make you realize that I haven't met my boss for almost 9 months now. My editor for 9 months. I haven't seen them. I have not seen my office colleagues who work in office for 9 months, which is unprecedented. So this is largely an e-office kind of a situation where we work from the field. I do live broadcasts from my home from the field, but I don't even go to office. And so large number of organizations are now giving this opportunity to employees to work from home. We have been reading about Google, about Facebook, giving that option to their employees till 2021. And so that also in a way restructures the workplace. And this is also part of the study that all of you as young students must also factor in, that working from home essentially changes the goalpost in terms of the change in the work environment. Working in an office, as you know, is a totally different experience. Working from home is, of course, going to be very challenging. It might look good in the initial couple of weeks, but later on you realize that you are actually alone at home. And working alone at home has its own challenges. And at the same time, your performance outputs would be measured now in a different way. Now, the entire framework of how employees who are working from home, their work performance will be assessed is going to be totally different than what it was earlier. There is no physical interface with your boss, in the sense that you're not interacting with your employees, you're not interacting with your colleagues, you're not interacting with your boss in a physical sense. It's a more of an e-interaction. You have online meetings, but that changes the way people work inside organizations also. The world outside has been changed by COVID-19. Inside also, I'm sure there will be new protocols. For example, for safety reasons, we were told to work from the field. And that would in turn mean that there are less and less number of people who are working in the office with all the safety protocols that NDTV has actually implemented in its office space. So a large number of people working in different departments, they're still working from home for almost 9 months now. A friend of mine who is from Bokaro Steel City, he is working from Bokaro Steel City for the last 9 months. He was on a holiday. As you know, March 31st is the time when you have to actually finish your annual leaves. And he had taken a leave on 19th March. Lockdown was imposed on 24th. He got stuck in Bokaro Steel City. He works in my NDTV web team. And he remains functional from Bokaro Steel City. He continues to write stories, edit my stories online, but he has not come to Delhi. And he said that you are getting a paid holiday for 9 months with your parents now. And initially for 6 months, he didn't know how to come back. But even when the flights resumed, his boss permitted him to work from Bokaro, because he said that even if you come back to Delhi, we are not allowing you to come to office and work, because that makes the office space little crowded. So 90% of the web team is working from home or wherever they are. And many of them are working from Bokaro Steel City as well. So that's the new office. Earlier, I remember Praveen Singh is one person who would be smiling and we would be meeting in office almost every day. I haven't seen Praveen, but he has edited hundreds of my stories. But he continues to work from Bokaro Steel City and effortlessly and seamlessly. So that is the new business world, where lots of parameters are changing. The way individuals and professionals used to work, the way bosses used to pass instructions to companies forced to change their supply chain management systems, to the way the outside world has changed, to how the organizations, individuals need to save more money for such pandemic-like situations, how we meet challenges, how retrenchments would be done, how new recruitments will be done. I think all these processes now, we have online interviews that are happening more and more frequently. And my son, who is in class 6th, has been attending online classes since March. And I somehow feel difficult to believe that he ever went to school. That's the entire ecosystem at home has changed, in fact. And that has ramifications for how organizations do business. And that's where I think all of you need to do a lot of research, collect data of how COVID-19 has affected the business world, business enterprises, how different institutions have employed different strategies to survive, how professionals and business managers have restructured their work priorities, restructured their business operations to survive. I remember the ground report where I've been shooting the factory in Bulandshahr Road industrial area. The managing director of that company, Sanjeev Sachdeva, last time when I met him, he told me that, Himanshu, the most key word that COVID-19 has taught this world is sustainability. No factory, no business enterprise, no business organization, no educational institution, no individual can survive the wrath of COVID-19 pandemic if they do not know how to sustain, how to develop a sustainable framework of survival. We must have policies and priorities which are sustainable. We need to frame ourselves, reframe our consciousness, make ourselves more and more sustainable so that we can sustain all kinds of challenges that we face. And any organization, any enterprise, any factory owner, if he doesn't know how to sustain themselves and their organizations through this pandemic, they will disappear in history. And that is why even when you go to the industrial areas, I wish and request all of you to do some field work, go on the ground to industrial zones, try and talk to factory owners, business managers, how this COVID-19 has actually impacted them. Because now when I go to Bulandshahr Road industrial area, there are still large number of factories which are locked up. Not everyone still has the capital to restart their business operations. And those business managers have lost their jobs. So across sectors, especially tourism, travel and hospitality sector, one of the worst hit by this pandemic, is still struggling. So it's very important for you to do field work on how COVID-19 has impacted the business operations, media houses, or any sector in any part of Indian economy, how they have been affected, what strategies they have employed, what challenges they have faced, so that you can all restructure the knowledge that you have acquired through studying theories and classroom teaching, and try and see how many of these theories and theoretical frameworks that you have developed about business organizations needs to be restructured. And at the same time, of course, all opportunities are going to open up for you in the new financial year. And I wish you all the best for the new financial year. I just hope and pray that COVID-19 goes behind us. Vaccine, of course, Health Minister has said is coming next month. So I think that in turn will create that feel-good sentiment in the Indian society. And that would mean great opportunities for all of you, because business organizations across sectors, in media, in any other sector, they're all gearing up now to come back with their pre-COVID-19 levels of business. And that would mean great opportunities for professionals like you. Jamshed sir.
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. I had a question in
Yeah.
regards to what you said. You said that your friend is still working outside his office. And do you think that this will be a part of the changing world, or the world that we are going to expect after COVID, that work from home is going to be a part of the paradigm that is going to be set afterwards? Because situation might not be as stable as we expect it to be before, but do you think that it is going to be a part of the new business world after COVID is over? Because it was found out that some of the people are more productive at home. So do you think that that is going to be a part of it?
Very important question, Abdul, because you see, it's the Praveen Singh is a case study for me personally. And to be honest with you, I normally take leave in the last week of March. All my leaves that are normally left, I had, I think, 16 days of leave left. And I told my boss that I want to go to my hometown, Bokaro. Praveen is also from Bokaro. So he said, okay, there's a parliament session going on. The parliament session was to end on April 4th, the budget session. And boss said that, okay, the 31st March tak aapka jitna bhi leave bacha hai, aap usko parliament session ke baad exhaust kar lijiyega. So you can go to Bokaro. So I did book my ticket for 4th of April. Now that ticket, of course, the train services were cancelled on 24th. And I do know that I could not go. I just imagine if my leave application had been perhaps approved, my history would have been different. I would not have been able to come back, and I was not even carrying my mobile equipments with me. That essentially means that I would have lost out reporting on the worst public health disaster in human history in last 100 years. That would have been a great loss of opportunity. But Praveen, of course, is in the web team, so he can just write and edit his stories. But at the larger level, Abdul, the question that you have raised has very, very important ramifications. See, it's not only during this pandemic that millions of people in different parts of the world are working from home for safety reasons. I think it helps organizations to cut costs as well. Imagine you have to create an office space where 5,000 people work. For example, the Infosys headquarters in Bangalore, let's say must be 3,000 to 4,000, 5,000 people would be working there. Now imagine if a work from home framework is created and even 50% of these employees are told to work from home. That would mean the Infosys management has to create much lesser office space to house them. That means huge savings in terms of managing an office space or, creating new buildings, new office structures to house these people. And so I think this pandemic has taught this world that online platforms have huge potential. And so we would see not only that, but even in terms of travel, the kind of business travel that was happening, I think is going to be significantly curtailed in the sense that most of the meetings now are happening through online. Now, I remember a student wanted to do PhD in IIT Roorkee. His guide told him that you can do sitting in Delhi, but you don't need to come to IIT Roorkee. Every weekend or every time when I want to interact with you, we can have online meetings. If you want to interact with 2 more professors, we can schedule meetings like that. And so there's no need for physical interactions anymore. I mean, it has its own relevance, and this is, of course, a matter of debate and interpretation of what is important or what is less important. But I think what the organizations have done so far, the global MNCs like Google, Facebook, and you can just read, there's a plethora of hundreds and hundreds of organizations have decided and given this opportunity to their workforce, many of them, to just work from home. And so I think it depends on the kind of job that you take up. I think a marketing professional or a sales professional need not actually have to, cannot work from home. They have to move out, they have to move and meet people from one office to another. Reporters like me cannot work from home. We have to go out, interview people on television, do live broadcasts from the field. So I cannot do that, but my friend Praveen Singh, for example, can do. And I think that is true with every organization. And they have, for example, HR managers can always work from home. Accounts officials can always work from home. So I think that infrastructure needs to be restructured a little bit in terms of creating an office-like structures at home. But I'm sure that these 9-10 months have taught everyone that there are a large number of possibilities and opportunities that exist. And it helps you save time. I remember when I was working from home for 3 weeks, I could realize that 1.5 hours was the time I used to take to commute to the workplace through the Delhi traffic, right? Now, 1.5 hours coming back, 1.5 hour coming back. That essentially means that 2 to 3 hours of time that we used to travel, like reporters have to travel from one place to another place to another place to another place. I think it saved me 2 to 3 hours of, at least 2 to 3 hours of time, productive time every day. And that essentially meant that I could finish my work much earlier than what I used to do. That is what it means, That is for example, for Praveen Singh to travel from his home to NDTV office, finishing his work, then again traveling back home. He told me that he saves that time and he saves himself from Delhi pollution as well. Large number of people are in fact now choosing to move out. I'm sure that there are parts of web teams who are now even living in different states by choice. And because not many of them are allowed to come to office, because offices have been kept very thin in the sense that the population is not very kept very high, because there is always a fear of infection. So many of these people are actually working home. And some of my web teams in English, for example, the NDTV.com team, they recently posted a photo on Facebook saying that after 9 months, they've come to office. So imagine, it's a great change, Abdul. And I think with that, the entire parameter of how work assessments will be done, how HR managers will work, how performance parameters will be assessed, analyzed, how increments will be given, promotions will be given, how office meetings will be held. I think these are all work parameters that are all set to change.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I have a question. Sir, as a fresher, what could be the challenges for us joining the media sector, sir? How could we overcome that challenges, sir?
देखिए, चैलेंज मीडिया ऑर्गेनाइजेशन भी एक बिजनेस इंटरप्राइज की तरह ही काम करते हैं. तो आप मीडिया ज्वाइन करेंगे या एफएमसीजी सेक्टर ज्वाइन करेंगे या किसी भी और सेक्टर में जाएंगे, अगर आपने बिजनेस ऑपरेशन को मैनेज करने की जिम्मेदारी लेनी है तो वो चुनौती हर जगह रहेगी कि आप कैसे ग्रो करेंगे. मीडिया में ये होता है कि आम जगह पे न्यूज ऑफ कोर्स इज नॉट जस्ट अ प्रोडक्ट. सो आई थिंक देयर आर सेंसिटिविटीज इन्वॉल्व विथ doing business when you're dealing with business with media organizations. For example, Godrej can make soaps which suits the competition requirements very well, and costs also accordingly can be very aggressively fixed, and then you can try and sell it through a very aggressive marketing technique. But news is not like a soap. So news selling news product is a different kind of an enterprise. So I think every business manager, if you're planning or thinking of joining a media organization, always keep this in mind that media organizations are little different kind of business enterprise than say a normal routine business enterprise, in the sense that news as a product is a different kind of entity, and a different kind of strategy, a different kind of thinking needs to be weaved in your business operation, because you cannot aggressively sell news in the market. I don't think that news is a product that can be sold. So this is a very different kind of business enterprise. There are large number of ethical issues. There are large number of issues of morality that will come into play. And these ethical questions and issues of morality, I'm not only in the context, because these ethical and moral business principles are valid in every business environment in the world. But in terms of dealing with the business aspects in a media house, these ethical and moral principles, issues, values become more and more prominent and important. And you have to keep that and factor it in mind. And even the kind of business dealings, I think, will happen in a business house will be different also from other enterprises, in the sense that, for example, when you're planning a special project, for example, there's a greater amount of licensing that needs to be done, in the sense that if an organization wants to do a special project with a news channel, they have to come and sit together, try and find a common point where their interests can actually merge. So, and then the business aspect takes place. So I think these are very sensitive issues, and marketing and sales work, I think, in a media organization would have a much higher component of ethical and morality issues and values than normally is, because in other organizations, I think you can have very aggressive tactics to sell your product, whether you're selling a chip, for example, or selling a juice or selling a toothpaste. You cannot employ those aggressive marketing and sales tactics in a media house. So you should know the philosophy of your channel, and you have to work closely with the editorial team to be more specific. Those kind of limitations won't be there in other business enterprises. I hope this.
Sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my question is like how the rise of digital media, like most of the news are we can consume on social media, has affected the traditional broadcast media and print media. Are you facing any challenges from those mediums?
Actually, we have grown by the emergence of the digital platforms. And I think NDTV, if you know, is today, I think, the second biggest digital platform after Times of India. And even on Twitter, I think NDTV has slightly more number of followers than even Times of India. I was doing research 2 months back, I saw that. Digital platform has given an opportunity to media organizations to actually broad base their operations. Now it has become incumbent, necessary, important for every business enterprise in the media organization to have a presence in the digital media space. And that's why you see, whether it is Times of India as a newspaper, Hindustan Times as a newspaper, NDTV as a news channel, they all have a very aggressive presence in the digital media space. And it has come as a new business proposition as well. And that is where I think professionals, greater opportunities for business professionals in managing digital space. In fact, it is also creating new kind of news platforms. For example, web portals have emerged as a business proposition, which was not the case earlier. And I remember many of my friends say that they have now chosen to work for web platforms, which are not newspapers and they're not television channels, but they are a very niche kind of a business enterprise. They focus on, let's say, petroleum sector or social sector. So a new media, I would say, companies have emerged. In fact, digital media has helped us broad base our presence. And it's very beneficial, I think. And many business organizations in the media space are focusing more and more on digital. And in fact, in one news channel in India, my friend who works in a very senior position told me that more revenue now comes from the digital space than what it comes from the television news space. So there is a greater restructuring, and it's a very valid question, Saurabh, you have asked, in the sense that this has actually totally transformed, I would say, the entire, in fact, the Bharat platform created by Ramoji Rao, the Nadu Group, essentially is a kind of a national web platform, which also has a video content, because there is a convergence now that is happening. And there is the roles and responsibilities are not what it was 15 years back, where a Times of India reporter will come, he'll take down notes at maximum, he will record the audio and go back. Now he's also told that you take one shot of the briefing and send it to us on WhatsApp. So that Times of India, if you see, they give you an option of a video also, that you can click this to see the video, or you can see and click this and see that this is the written text. So digital space, of course, most important, I would say, in today's world. And I see more and more, because, it gives people the opportunity and the option to read news at will. The ideas that we had at one time about prime time news, where everyone would sit before a television set at 9 p.m., that has weakened now. So in that place, you have these social media platforms very active in the digital space, where I can go and access news as and when I want to see it. So I think I see, for example, yesterday I reported on Prime Minister transferring more than 18,000 crore rupees into the bank accounts of more than 9 crore farmers. And immediately once the story was broadcast on the English channel, it had come on Twitter, and I shared it on my Facebook page, in my Instagram page. So we're doing that now, and it's a part of, it's like, it has strengthened our hands, in the sense that digital platform is not only good for business, not only good for expanding the news operation, but it gives us an opportunity to actually reach out to more and more people. Those who do not have time to watch TV channel will also see the digital space and read news on NDTV platform. So I think there are new business models that are emerging on how to monetize this space. And I think it's a work in progress, and new business models are being created. And of course, you are absolutely right. It has great opportunities for business managers of the future, because whether it is CNN, BBC, in the US, in the UK, but in India, Times of India, NDTV.com, they're emerging as the primary digital platforms. And there is a lot of competition, a lot of, I would say, tussle for winning the hearts and minds of the viewers. So it's a great competitive space. New business models are emerging, and great opportunities for business managers in media space, especially on the digital platform.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, what advantages do you think a MBA graduate hold over a mass comm graduate in the field of media?
There are many people who have done MBA and are doing business journalism, for example. It increases the space that you can occupy in a media house, in the sense that if you have done MBA and if you still think that you should be an anchor in CNBC TV 18 or CNBC network or on Bloomberg or any global network, and you want to become an international business journalist, it gives you that option if you have done MBA, in the sense that you have, of course, better theoretical understanding to understand the business world, business operations, business enterprises, business developments related to economy, than a normal journalist. So I think that gives you the option, in the sense that if you want, you can become an anchor, a primetime anchor in a business news channel, or you can choose to join the business part of the media organizations and work as head of sales or head of marketing or head of communication technologies or head of interface with different sectors, or plan and execute special projects as a business manager. So I think it gives you that space, that skill base, I would say, to play a more meaningful role, in the sense that you are not restricted that, okay, I've done MBA, so I'll only be able to work in the sales or marketing. But I think an MBA graduate also can work as a great business, become a great business journalist, because I think you have all the paraphernalia which is required to understand the developments in the business world. And that's what the people who are well trained, who have better understanding, can do great in the world of business journalism. And that's an emerging field, in the sense that they are all household names now that I know in CNBC, for example. So that is also an option that is there for you. If you think you can work in Economic Times, you can work in Business World, you can work in CNBC, you can work in Bloomberg, the opportunities that are available to you will increase. And mass comm graduates, of course, that would not mean that mass comm graduates cannot do what you're doing, but you have that advantage in terms of say a rigorous 2-year training about business theories and economic theories and business enterprises. Mass comm graduates normally are graduates who come to the workplace and they learn when they work. For example, someone who has done BA English Honours or BCom, for example, and he joins a mass comm course, and when he joins a media organization, he of course will have relatively less exposure than an MBA graduate who is senior. He has more experience, he has done field work, he has studied business theories more than a normal graduate. So that gives you an advantage and also an option to, have a very broad-based kind of, and in fact, importantly, if you grow in the business organization, in the media organizations, as a business journalist, gradually you have to also perform the role of a business manager. And at that level, I think 10, 15, 20 years into a media organization, I think you will be a valuable asset for the company, in the sense that you have a greater understanding also of business management, business accounts and others. And so it helps you take better care of the business operations of a news channel. But there are no strict theories in life, as you know. People also learn when they are working, and they have done remarkably well as well.
So I too have a question. Like we see
this
all
would be
around.
the last question that would be taking. Okay, go ahead, Manja.
Sure, thank you. So we see all around the world the free press is under attack. So I want to know how it has affected the job opportunity in large media house.
Well, these are two different things. Free press, the idea of a free press essentially means that how much freedom media has to work, report, analyze, broadcast, interact with the masses, what news gets disseminated and how freely it gets disseminated, and how much freedom reporters have to work, how much freedom editors have. Job opportunities are directly linked with the business strength of a media house, in the sense that how much financially capable they are and how their revenues have increased or have been affected during a crisis like, for example, COVID-19 has impacted every business enterprise in India, in the media space and in every space in India that you can think of. So job opportunities are essentially directly linked to the strength, the financial strength of a company. As Saurabh just now asked, now, for example, the emergence of digital media or the social media space had actually made these managers stars. I remember Facebook managers, when they came to parliament, they were actually a large number of camera persons, were struggling to take shots of them. So Twitter India chief is a well-known public figure. Facebook India manages Ankhi Das, for example. they're much talked about people now. And they were all business managers of Twitter, Facebook. And these are all also social media platforms that you all can obviously think and to joining. And in fact, there is one draft that I want all of you to also read is the Personal Data Protection Bill that is now being examined by the Joint Parliamentary Committee. And I think anyone who has interest in working in media space, please read Personal Data Protection Bill that has been drafted and that is being now examined by the Joint Parliamentary Committee headed by Meenakshi Lekhi, who is a BJP MP. And I have reported several meetings called by this parliamentary committee, and they are brainstorming now. They have brainstormed for hours with Facebook representatives, Twitter representatives, Amazon, any social media platform, because they also have a lot of database of Indian citizens. And how this data management is done, how secure the data is, how to ensure that this data is not misused, abused for any reason, nefarious reasons. The accountability standards are being fixed for the first time in India. So I think by the time all of you grow and you think and work on joining a social media company, for example, in future, I think this law, this legislation would be the most important legislation that you all must read. I'll just repeat this, the Personal Data Protection Bill, please 2019, please read this legislation that is still being drafted. I think in the budget session, the Parliamentary Joint Committee will submit its recommendations in Parliament, and then Cabinet will go through the amendments they have recommended, and then it will come to Parliament for further debate and passage. And I think any person who has interest in social media houses, please read this Personal Data Protection Bill, because for the first time, the roles, responsibilities, accountability standards, penal provisions for violation of norms have been codified for the first time in a piece of legislation that is all set to be passed sometime next year. So I think that will set a benchmark for India. And I remember Twitter, Facebook, Amazon officials have faced very tough questions, for example, where you keep the database of Indian citizens, for example. And except, I think, Geo, all others have servers abroad. For example, if Facebook, there are, let's say, 1 crore Indians who have accounts on Facebook, all this data is now kept in a server in US. So there is a greater worry that what is being done with this data base of 1 crore Indians that Facebook has in its servers abroad. Same with Twitter. So I think accountability in terms of how the monetization attempt is also being done to reach out to these 1 crore base of people whose data Facebook has. So it can be misused for political reasons. It can be misused for business reasons. So I think all future business managers who want to work in this space of social media, and I'm very glad that this question Mancha has asked. This is, I think, a game changer in the sense that this legislation will set standards and which then has very strict penal provisions. And I remember MPs telling us that very, very difficult questions have been asked to these people. So what is your income? So how much tax you pay? Now, why are you allowing this kind of content on Facebook? Why this hate speech was allowed to be on Twitter?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Our respected teacher wants to ask you a question. He's been waiting for so long. And if you allow me, I'll just introduce Mr. Jamshed, sir, to you. So, sir, please go ahead.
It was very nice to listen all these things. It was a very learning, sir. Sir, actually, there are two things in our mind. Actually, what I have in my mind that our students want to write something for the media, but they will not get that good platforms. So if there is a campus club we will create for the media, and if it is aligned with the your organization in any respect, so there would be any way out. So these people are the young, they have a talent, they write some of the very good piece of things which need to be evaluated or reviewed from your house or whatsoever. If there is some accessibility which we can develop, so in future these students will get a very good, they understand how to talk to the media people, how to behave, how to write, and what would be the quantum of the quality which is being required. So in case if they are, if this is the possibility. And the second of our question is like, if our faculties want to do some research on the media industry, if there any collaboration is possible, they have many things in their mind, so they are not getting the, the right people to talk to. So for them also, if there is a way, so we want as a Jamia Hamdard, the faculty and student, to be the part of your repute organization of repute, and an organization which stands in all sort of disruption as a rock solid. And you inspire a lot. Many of the many of the students are a regular viewer of your all sort of newses, so they want to be to contribute also. So how can please
Yes, important. See, NDTV is largely very active on 3-4 platforms. One is a news channel. So there, it's a kind of, you have seen the television news is a different, has its own philosophy. It works on a different premise. Now, the web team, the ndtv.com, for example, I think this is where you have an eye where you can write. Television is a different kind of space.
Yes.
I think what you need to do is you wish to write for that. I think they have blogs. They do request people to write blogs. That space is alien. For example, in newspapers, we have all grown up reading the open ed page. For example, Hindu has an op-ed. It's called it's an open space for so that space is traditionally with the newspapers. They have kept 3-4 columns, op-ed as they call it. Now, NDTV unfortunately doesn't have a newspaper, but we do have a .com, ndtv.com. That is where you think that you want space to write. So I can be in touch with Hanan. Let me get in touch with the ndtv.com team and get feedback from them as to what kind of contributions are possible. For example, my friend in Australia has written a book on energy security. So he wanted to publish excerpts on NDTV.
True.
I was told that ndtv.com is a .com. So, the question that Saurabh asked is very important. These organizations the philosophy is evolving. So they don't think that they are newspapers, that they will be publishing, abstracts of a new book, for example.
Yes.
This is a news platform. So will it not look awkward if we publish, reviews? We don't publish reviews of books because that platform doesn't exist on the digital space. But I'm sure that there are blogs that professionals are writing, and I think that's where the space would exist. So I'll get in touch with my friends in ndtv.com, be in touch with Hanan on this, and I'll keep updating him so that the key person who is there can directly have an interface with you. So he'll understand it.
I formed club. The club name is like a media club in business school, and that club with 1 or 2 or more students will join that, and they will definitely try to make you remind sometime. If possible, campus connect will be there. Then we will disseminate this entire Delhi University with Jamia Millia and all these type of people. The campus page would be there. Then the younger generation will attracted more toward the ndtv.com.
Thank you very much. It will be a privilege. Yeah, thank you very much.
And sir, collaborative research for the if possibility for the faculties, because there are many faculties who are listening to you and want to brush up their talents more towards this front. So if there are something, you please let us know.
There are specified departments. I'll get you in touch with them,
please.
And because I work as senior editor, political and current affairs. In fact, my designation has changed in last month. So I am actually a field correspondent. I cover Prime Minister's office, I cover Parliament, I cover Government of India, and NDTV is a very big organization. So all the departments are totally different. For example, I told you after March I have not been to my office, so I haven't even seen my boss. I haven't seen my editor. I have not seen my colleagues. So the question that Hanan asked was very important. The workspace ideas have completely changed. I haven't seen Praveen Singh. He's in Bokaro still. He hasn't come to Delhi for 9 months. So this COVID-19 has actually changed us a lot. And of course, I'll be giving all the contact details so that you can directly have an interface with them. There are separate professionals who have separate level of independence to deal with this kind of work.
Just connect.
I'm more of a news correspondent. I can come and interview you, sir, which I'll do very soon.
It's just connect.
I'm on nice few interviews with you. Yeah. I'll definitely.
Abdul Annan, please initiate.
Yes, sir, and I sincerely would like to thank you, sir, for helping you with your valuable time. I understand that you are a busy person, and helping us with your valuable knowledge is like quite a task for you because I understand that you are busy. So I thank you, and I definitely will connect to you and ensure that we can plan out something next.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So, student, you may leave now, and there are around 100 students on YouTube. They join and on live also this platform. They can leave now. We will about to close that. So, thanks a lot for joining. And coordinators, please wait. We will discuss some new issue. Okay. So, coordinators, please don't leave. Other than other people, fellow can leave.
Sir, we have
don't leave.
to stop the broadcast link on YouTube so we can continue the meeting further.
Yes, Shabana, please talk to Abdullah sir.
Yes, sir. I'm informing him.
I'm going to attend from my mobile because I have to leave the place where I am right now. Okay. I will be on the mobile phone live.